Palm Pixi, Noah from PhoneDog.com. What's going on, everybody? We're doing a multi-part video on the Palm Pixi. A whole bunch of different parts to the video. Unboxing, quick review, hardware and OS, media player, web browser, messaging. You know, we're going in depth so you can find out pretty much everything you need to know about the Palm Pixi if you like watching videos. And if you don't like watching videos, well, I don't know why you're here, but you can go over to the website and PhoneDog.com, and you can see the written review as well, as in addition to some other coverage, hands-on impressions, stuff about WebOS. You can read the Palm pre-review, all that stuff. So we got you covered on PhoneDog.com. Just want to give a quick shout to our friends over at Best Buy Mobile who hooked us up with not only one, but two Palm Pixis for us to give away. We got our PR loaner from the fine folks at Palm. Then Best Buy Mobile hooking us up with two more devices so we can do more reviews in case you don't like me, you want to see Adriana or Aaron or whoever else, check out the Pixi. But then also we're giving them away on the One Pod Bandits. Go over and play that, PhoneDog, Facebook.com. Real quick, Best Buy Mobile, they got this thing called Walkout Working. You go in there, you buy a phone, they make sure you're hooked up. If you want it, you're hooked up with knowledge on how to use your phone, transfer your contacts, all that stuff before you leave the store. If you're like me and you're like, nah, I got it, and you go home and then you don't know how to use it, you can go back in and they'll help you too. But it's cool. They make sure you're working before you walk out. That's why it's called Walkout Working. All right, enough of all that stuff. Let's get on to the video. Palm Pixi. All right, so really, one of the most remarkable things about the Pixi, to me anyway, is its size. It's incredibly small and lightweight, but still, I think, very usable. It's 55 by 111 by 10.85 millimeters. So 55 millimeters across, 111 tall, 10.85 thick, which is thinner than, almost any phone you're going to find on the market, particularly a smartphone. Certainly thinner than the iPhone, which I believe is around 12 and a half millimeters thick. It also, though, it only weighs, and I'm reading this off the spec sheet here, it only weighs 3.26 ounces. I tried to memorize all that before I started on camera, but I had to read off the spec sheet. Too many numbers. It weighs 3.26 ounces, which is a full ounce and a half lighter than an iPhone. I'm just using an iPhone because that's kind of a standard that lots of people are familiar with. But that's an ounce and a half lighter, or more than 25% lighter, and you really have to hold this thing to appreciate it. It's incredibly thin. It feels really good in your hand. I have relatively large hands, and actually the hand part of my hand is larger than, disproportionate to my fingers a little bit. So sometimes I have trouble with a phone kind of fitting comfortably in my hand if it's very small. But I've really enjoyed using the Pixi. I think it's a great size and shape. I think, what you lose, it's a 2.63-inch screen, which compared to, a Pre or an iPhone, or let alone these, new breed of phones like the Droid or even the HTC Touch HD 2, which have, 3.5, 4-inch screens, 2.63 feels, kind of small at first. But it's a really sharp screen, capacitive touch, and WebOS was made to resize to, any resolution, basically. So it actually works really well. I've had no trouble using the phone. When you get into, say, web browsing, looking at web pages, looking at photos or something like that, you have to do some resizing and that kind of thing. But really, not that big of a deal. I think, you'll know when you use it if you're somebody who likes to have the giant screen. It's fine, but that's not who this phone's aimed at. Coming from Palm, it's aimed more at the messaging phone user, the casual smartphone user who wants the full power of WebOS in a small package. And, so that being said, it's pretty easy, to zoom in and out on your pages and stuff. So I think really, really great job by Palm with the hardware on this phone. You've also got the Qwerty Keyboard down below, and then your gesture area in between the Qwerty Keyboard and the screen. So in WebOS, there are a lot of gestures that you can use. The main ones are basically swiping back and forth. You can see a little LED light there. On the Palm Pre, there's actually a button in the middle that took you home. On the Pixi, instead, you've just got that LED area, so you just tap, and it takes you, it functions like the home button. So really cool design. I like this design more than the Pre personally. I'm not a huge fan of slider phones. I understand that people are. The Pre I felt suffered from some build quality issues, and the keyboard was kind of hard to use. The Pixi just very sleek, and I wish the Pre had that little sensor thing. But nice to see that Palm is evolving as they go for sure with these new WebOS phones. The keyboard, since we're talking about it, I think it's great. I think it's easier to use than the Pre. The action on the keys is better, kind of a chiclet style. I've read, and I said this before, that the keys have been likened to Rice Krispies, which is pretty good comparison there, I think. Nice crisp clicking action when you, here we'll get rid of that and we'll search for something. It's almost Thanksgiving time, so let's search for pumpkin pie. Very crisp action when you press the keys. You know, really, even though they're small, the separation between them, they're domed, and there's a little bit of space in between them, as well as just, you know, the space between the apex of the dome from key to key, you know, is large enough that, you know, I really have not that much trouble typing. I can't type while I'm talking. One miscue there, not too bad. But really, you know, I think the keyboard's a joy to use, especially relative to the Palm Pixi keyboard, which I didn't like all that much. So, you know, it's not a joy to use like, you know, BlackBerry Bold or HTC Touch Pro 2 is, but those are much larger devices. Beyond that, like we said, 2.63 inch screen, capacitive touch, multi-touch capable. It's 320 by 400 pixels resolution, 18-bit color, 262,000 or so colors. Really pretty crisp and nice. You know, maybe not quite on Palm Pre level, but maybe it is. It's really, I think the screen works very well. Accelerometer built in as well, as you can see. A little tour around the phone. You've got your earpiece up there for listening to your speaker. Then the microphone obviously is down there. On top, standard headphone jack. Always nice to see. Power and lock switch, which is a little tricky to press sometimes when you're blind pressing because it's recessed so far into the device, but not too bad. One thing that's kind of annoying about the new version of WebOS on the Pre and the Pixi is that when you go to turn the phone off, you hold the power button and you press power off, and then it confirms. And then it confirms again, and it's like, really? I have to say 3 times in a row that I want to power off. You know, I don't know. I guess better safe than sorry, but kind of annoying. But then again, I don't turn my phone off all that much, so you know, whatever. The back of the phone, 2 speaker grills. It's actually just 1 speaker underneath. I was mistaken in a previous video. They did 2 cutouts, you know, to trick people into thinking it's stereo or just make it look cool. Whatever. No big deal. 2 megapixel camera with LED flash. On the side, you've got your rocker switch. For volume, you've got a hard switch for silencing the phone, which is always nice. You've got your micro USB port, which is hidden away underneath this little cover. On the other side, there's not a whole lot happening. And then 8 gigabytes of internal storage, no micro SD card slot. So it's 8 gigs or nothing. And then you can actually take the whole thing off. And there's your innards. There's the battery. Now the people at Palm were also nice enough to send over the Touchstone Charger. We checked this out before on the Pre, have not yet used it on the Pixi. So we'll give this a go. And this is the wireless charging system, which is pretty cool. I've read a couple of other reviews that point this out. You know, reviewers, we read each other reviews and we talk to each other and stuff. And something that a couple of other reviewers pointed out to me, which, you know, way back when, talking about the Pre, before I had a chance to try the Pre out, and here's the back cover for the Pixi, this is what I'm opening up now, is that it's too bad that the Touchstone charging base doesn't, you know, double as a dock for syncing, or like the Motorola Droid with the new Motorola Droid with its accessories, have something in it that, like, when you put the Pixi on it, not only does it charge, but it would also, you know, launch like an alarm clock widget or a weather widget, or, you know, some kind of desktop or bedside companion software, you know, kind of give it like a special, you know, kind of double feature action there, you know, more for your money. As it is, instead, basically what you get is wireless charging, and that's it. So we'll turn the phone back on here, and you know, basically the deal with the wireless charging is that you use this special back cover, which differs from the regular cover in the Pixi's case in that it's got the dots on it, but otherwise, you know, pretty much the same. It's a little more rubbery grippy, I think, just because of the dots, actually. The side, it feels pretty much, yeah, it's just the dots that make it feel grippy. And then, you know, when you charge, This isn't plugged in, obviously, but it's magnetic. And so you plug this into the USB cable that came with the Pixi, and then you plug that into the AC adapter. You plug it in the wall, basically. And then instead of plugging into your micro USB port, you plug it into the cradle. You put that on there. It's magnetic. It holds it. It charges wirelessly. There you go. So it's a cool little accessory, but again, it'd be neat if it did did a little bit more in terms of like I said, a alarm clock widget, weather widget, something just to kind of up the value that you get when you spend on this thing. All right, and there you can see you plug you put the Pixi on the Touchstone, and it charges, and it works. But again, a little spendy for just a charger. Kind of cool though, definitely handy. And if you're the kind of person who, I don't know, is always setting your phone down on very slippery surfaces, if your house is made out of ice and your phone's always sliding off the ice, then the grippy mechanical business or magnetic business there will help you out. As a phone, the Pixi's performed quite well. I've been testing it on Sprint out here in the San Francisco, California Bay Area. I live and work in the East Bay, but get around the Bay Area a lot, so I've been testing the Pixi out all around town, and it's worked well. It's CDMA EVDO Rev A, so high-speed data, no Wi-Fi, which has been mentioned a bunch of times. Disappointing on a smartphone, and if you want to look at competitors, for $99 you can get an iPhone 3G on AT&T that has Wi-Fi. You can get a Droid Aeris Android phone on Verizon that has Wi-Fi. So kind of too bad that the Pixi doesn't. When you have the EVDO service, the data's fast, but you can't get it everywhere. There's some places where, some buildings or some spots of town or whatever where you just can't get it, or you can't get the full, network. And in those cases, having Wi-Fi really helps. So kind of too bad. Phone performance has been very good. Call quality has been good. The sound's been pretty good, whether through the phone, through the headphone jack, or the speakerphone. Speakerphone's not the loudest ever, but it's pretty good. Definitely at least average. You cannot do calls, and here we'll make a fake call. Not 888 though. Let's go back. You can't do voice and data at the same time. It's a limitation of CDMA. I'm not really sure who I just called.
Hi, what's the name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to dial.
No problem, sir. Anything else, please?
Nope. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
I just accidentally dialed information. Anyway, sorry about that. So you can hear the speakerphone works just fine, and your call log, and we'll get into the WebOS in a different video here. But with your call log, like many things in the WebOS, you can just swipe across, and then you can delete or cancel your missed calls. I don't have any. If I want to add as a contact, opens up the Contacts app in a new card. Again, we'll get to that and the whole thing with WebOS in a different video. But the phone works well as a phone. Very comfortable to use as a phone. The shape, the size, and the lightweight make it really comfortable to use as a phone, and very easy to pocket or I don't know, put in your satchel or whatever. It doesn't come with a carry case like the Pre does, but I'm sure there are a ton of third-party aftermarket cases available.